what, like, from an actor's point of view, do you think directors often faff about too much on sets you've been on, or would you say you can understand them having so much to do? I don't know if there's anything that, or do you feel like you're getting enough attention, or do that kind of thing? I don't know.
It depends on the type of director often, and just sort of, are they more technically minded? Because some are, yeah, very technical, and as a result may not have a conversation with an actor. And often you're thinking, are they, so they seem very concerned with the lighting and whatnot, and effectively also doing what the DOP's doing as well. Occasionally I've seen that and thought, they're doing the same job right now? So yeah, some are very technically minded, so you can feel neglected at times.
Yeah,
Just in terms of, I just want to know what's happening next. It's just a little bit. It's not a massive issue. It's just thinking, yeah, they're just so beholden of the technical stuff that, yeah, they do tend to lose track of what's in front of the camera, actually, as in performative.
I would say I'm definitely guilty of that. I'd say I'm definitely more a technical director, which is partly why we're chatting about the acting thing, and which I was keen to learn more about it from the other side, or the other side.
It's not that we're not, because we are a technical aspect as well.
That is very true.
We are. It's obviously we are organic, but we are a part of that technically. So yeah, sometimes just sort of being stand there for your lighting, cool, that's all good, but then you just sort of stand there and you keep standing there and you go, well, actually, there's probably a little transfer conversation there at times while someone else is sorting something out.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm trying to get better at, but I have recognised it in myself that I probably could tell you a lot more about camera positions and different shots than I can of properly how to talk to an actor, which is like bad on my part, and definitely something I'm trying to correct and work on.
Because I found the only time I've directed actors for a short film, I was talking to my DP, and I found myself doing a similar thing, actually wandering, even though I'm good. And I went, hang on, I've got him, I trust him. That's why I asked him to do that. So it's that delegation as well. It's the truster going, no, he's here. That's his deal to do, not for me, because I know what he's doing. I know he knows what he's doing. So I've got to break away from that and then go, right, now's the chance. Yeah. Because I found myself getting sucked into that world. So it's easily done, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to think of ways to make shoots go easier. And I said about first assistant directors, I think that'd be food, I think, and like how to keep people happy on set. Everyone loves feeding.
I think communication is really the key for that. If you tell everybody involved, especially your actors who may be standing around for hours waiting for something to happen, if you keep them informed exactly what you're doing and what's going on and what's going to happen next, and keep them updated about all that stuff, then it's going to make things a lot easier, because otherwise they're just going to be sitting around thinking, what's going to happen? We were told an hour ago we'd be on set in 5 minutes. And it doesn't happen, and you don't hear back again. And then all of a sudden you've got to move somewhere else because they've decided that they're going to cut that scene, not going to bother with that anymore, do it another day, stuff like that. I know you're in it's a really high pressure, high profile situation when you're trying to get things sorted and everything in the can, but it's to help just tell everybody what's going on, I think.
I'm definitely conscious of that, and it's always that thing of trying to keep people updated, but then it's so easy to lose track of like, who haven't I told? And like when you're trying to flip between different things, it's always like, oh, the makeup's not done, how long are they gonna be? And trying to juggle everything. But I do try, and as much as I can, keep people updated, even if I feel like I said, even if it's just simple, oh sorry, we're going to be a bit late or doing this shot, as long as you keep everyone updated in what you're doing, I guess.
I think one big help is storyboards and shooting schedules and things like that, to do all the paperwork beforehand. You just work it down to a fine detail. I think that helps. You're not supposed to show actors storyboards, but I did it in a film called Lost in Time, for instance, and I think it helped the actors mind you, that was a university course one. I was being told by my lecturers you shouldn't show the actors the storyboard. You know, that's the crew's concern. But I like to show the actors as well, because I've got it down in such detail, basically, and where they're doing, who's talking to who, and things like that. And I think it helps.
Yeah, I've never heard that you shouldn't show actors storyboards. I'd probably always say that's a helpful thing, so they know the types of shot you're going for and the way it can potentially be cut into the film.
Yeah, that would always be useful, I think, knowing in advance
Well done
where
for
it
having
fits into the
storyboards,
storyline.
though. That's a lot further than I get on some of my films. Or my very suspicious drawing of stickmen, which end up looking slightly dodgy. It's a tricky thing in trying to keep a set moving, because inevitably I'm always like sort of conscious of it in the background that, oh, we're running a bit late, but then you think oh, it'll be fine. But it is really difficult. As soon as you start getting behind, then you do sort of, and then inevitably like things get rushed, and then you say, oh, we'll cut that shot, we don't really need it. And so then it often quickly becomes at the detriment of the film. So I don't know if has anyone got any ideas of how you can keep things moving on set?
Just planning, I guess, basically, but then things do go wrong, and you know, somebody hells you up for whatever reason, and basically everything gets set back. It's just can't think of everything, but got to try.
I suppose it's all pre-discussions before the shoot, especially if you're factoring in rehearsals. Yeah, so that's always a good time to sort of get certain maybe visual things across or technical things across while the rehearsals are happening. Sort of, you know, give them an idea of, like, you know, if they're rehearsing, give them an idea of what, you know, how the shots might turn out, what might need it to be, you know, what sort of coverage you'll need. So it's, yeah, so you can get to the day and pretty much just do it, and you know what to expect. So there's that extra level of communication, like David said, more communication prior to any shoot.
I suppose this ties in what we were speaking a few weeks ago about acting rehearsals, and how I hate doing those before. And so you save that time, that would save time on set. And obviously you can still go through it on set and fine tune things. But like we were saying, that dedicated rehearsal time is probably quite a useful thing. So,
I think a lot of it's to do with. I'm sorry, Dom. I thought we were doing. I had on my notes for nudity on set week, and I thought this was the week. So I turned up. I had a whole PowerPoint presentation with my favourite scenes.
well,
so I'm a little bit lost. But anyway, I can.
With that, then go for it. To be honest.
But I think it's. I've got a lot. I think with especially when with the films that we've done, relationship between yourself and the actor, especially at an amateur level like I'm at, you know, having that relationship, and having them be really into the film and giving all they've got, and kind of understanding that, you know, and saying to them up front, listen, on the day, you know, I might be a bit stressed, and manage expectations. And I think that is really the best thing to do, is kind of give them a kind of understanding of what's going to happen on a day and where things can go wrong, and kind of contingencies and stuff like that. But I think, you know, if you have an actor come in that you don't know from Adam, and they come on your set, they're not bought into the film, they don't know much about it. I've been lucky because all the people that have been involved in my films have been very, very kind of involved from the very beginning, you know, and in terms of storyboarding, in terms of understanding what it means. So they bought into the story. But if you get someone, you know, I see people online on Facebook quite a lot saying, I need an actor for tomorrow because my person's let me down. That's just asking for trouble. And you know, and that's the thing. I think relationship between you and the actors at this amateur level is absolutely key.
That's always going to happen, though, isn't it? Because if you've got actors who you know, if you're getting them in and you're not paying them, and then all of a sudden someone else says, okay, you need to work that day, I've got you a job doing this, or they actually get called in from the work that they do normally to provide their money, then if you're not paying them, they're going to say, I'm sorry, I've got to earn some money. So that is going to happen. That's just one of those unforeseen circumstances that you're going to have to deal with when you're working on a really low budget, no budget level. And I'm sure that virtually every actor who's ever done anything on screen for any filmmakers is going to be well aware of exactly how it works and what goes wrong. I mean, I've done enough. I'm not done that many, but I've seen virtually everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And then you just have to kind of like bump along and see how it works. We know that as actors. We're just there to be, we're just like, cattle who occasionally need feeding now and again.
It's a very interesting way of putting it.
I mean, we are. We're just there to, say some words, walk across the screen, and hopefully we'll do it in such a way that the director can stitch it all together to make it work for them, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what I try and do anyway.
I think it's also about trying to keep calm if you know things are going badly, and not sort of taking that attitude and infecting other people. I think you need to have as a director, you kind of need to be a good actor and like pretend, oh, it's all fine.
You do.
I won't do it in the edit. Yeah.
But directors set
I think if you can keep calm though and try and portray an aura that everything's all right, I think it sort of does rub onto everyone else on the set. That's what I like to think. Not that I've been
you set the tone, don't you? As the head of it, you set the flipping tones, like the head of the company or something.
This is it.
That can pass on down, but it is quite right. You've got to set that tone, and if the director is snappy or whatever, we understand we're all human beings. But if it's a constant thing, or it's a real always feeling that, it's like, well, hang on, that's going to get passed on residually, whether you like it or not. It will start reflecting, and the tone's going to be. And then if not, if it does get fractures, then it's got to be able to be talked about.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can probably tell if it's like, if there's a bad atmosphere on set, inevitably it'll rub down on people. It's like the DOP won't care as much about a shot, maybe, or it's like, I'll just do it really quickly and just not put the effort in. Maybe actors as well. You're like, well, if this director's not being good to me, maybe I don't know, maybe won't care about it as much, which is never a good place to be in.
Yeah, that's what I do. I keep calm in both the films I've done. But I take as a role model, because I was in a play, The Torbay Tempest, and that was directed by John Orme. And basically he kept calm in all circumstances, and I noticed how he handled the actors, everything like that. And he was an extremely good role model for me anyway. So basically I just think how he would do it. And I got, when I was doing at university, I got praised, for keeping calm, to create that kind of professional atmosphere, to keep a professional atmosphere and keep it going.
Yeah,
and I kind of learned it from John Orme.
I think a lot of filmmakers are possibly trying to do a bit too much. I mean, if you keep it simple, then it makes things a lot easier. As soon as you start introducing too many variables, then there's more stuff that goes wrong. I mean, I know it from theatre, because I've done theatre technical stuff, like sound and lighting, and every time you add one little line in between those bits of technology, you get an extra 10% chance of something screwing up completely. So if you can not try and do too much in too little time, then you're going to have a lot more space to be able to complete what it is you've got going.
Nice. It's just one of them, isn't there? It's not one where there's like lots of different avenues. It's just one pot of funding, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it's just one. I think it's just one pot. Yeah.
£9,000's quite nice for one little film. I'm not sure. I've only sort of seen. I haven't read it properly, but Jim's again.
It would just about buy me. It just about buy me my 12k Ursa, Dom.
So
£9,000. It would just about buy me my 12k Ursa. Then I'd be
like, that is ridiculous. On a different.
You've seen that, have you? Yeah, that's been out on the.
Why would you shoot 12k? You couldn't even edit it for a start, not at 12k. And
have you seen? you have to have a special SSD as well that can take it. That's the killer for it, because I was like, oh, 12K. Then it's like you're gonna have to have a special SSD because a normal SSD just can't take it. And it's just like
most screens couldn't even play it back. It's like most screens.
It's not about that though, is it? It's about downscaling it. And you have the capacity to move your frame around in which you've shot and zoom in and zoom out and have.
That is true, but a lot of people would say you shouldn't do that. You should just frame.
No, it kind of makes DPs superfluous. Doesn't
we did it loads. We did it loads with Joker. So we did loads of because we shot in 4.6K and we exported in 1080p. So we did loads of punching in. And if you notice, there's mistakes on it because we actually reversed the footage as well. So she's got to be looking this way. So we reversed the footage. So sometimes you see the blood coming from her nose is on the wrong side. Ooh. Sometimes, and only I noticed it. No one else.
But it's true.
Now you're going to see it. You can't unsee it once you see it. It's a nightmare.
Well, we're meant to be talking about post-production next week, and that's the kind of thing you can talk about.
Yeah, flipping footage is a minefield. So
I do it a lot. It's there's certainly lots of tricks you can do to make the most of your footage.
But yeah, I don't know if you saw the 12K punching in stuff that Black Magic did with that big boat, and it was just ridiculous. Like the boat was like this far away, and then they cropped it, and it's like right in right in the frame, and it was at 4K still, and I'm just like, oh, unbelievable. And but it's 10 grand, and it's just basically red is dead, isn't it? I think red are kind of like their 8 grand Monstro is $55,000. It's really? Just like red is just might as well just pack their bags and leave. It's just. But Black Magic have done a big
Black Magic hasn't really tapped into the mainstream features market yet. It's still Red and Alexa mainly.
There you go. You see, this is what happens on a film shoot, right? Rather than concentrate on what you're trying to produce, everybody goes off and be more technical about stuff.
Yes.
What lenses? Lenses.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if only we had this and we could, do that, but we have to work around.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. Like halfway through a scene, it's just ridiculous. And I'm just like there, just thinking, let's just get on with the shot. Like I'm here, ready to go, and it's just like, because I remember in particular one film shoot I was on, and it was kind of like deciding between 1080p and 4K was kind of like, why don't we just flip a coin and then get on with it? That'd be nice, So yeah.
That's an interesting way of doing it.
Scissors, that might be better. Like, how do you make decisions on set? Should you flip a coin, or is it like rock, paper, scissors? I mean, it depends on the situation.
It depends on the knock-on effect that decision could have further down the line, maybe.
You've still got to make the decision somehow, and you can't spend hours doing it because you're going to run out of day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure I've ever done rock, paper, scissors to make a decision on what to shoot on. Or what to shoot, what format.
You need to buy yourself one of those magic 8 balls. Just ask it a question.
Or little love hearts. Decide based on love hearts. But it's no, I think it's I've been on in the sort of early days. I sort of spent the whole night before a shoot procrastinating if I should shoot in 24 frames or 25 frames. This whole kind of like, it's more this whole kind of BS about, it's much more filmic if you shoot in 24 frames, and actually it doesn't really make much difference. It just buggers you up for lighting, and in it, Dom, I think the lighting, you get flicker, don't you? And it's not really.
I often find 25 is easier because 24 can be interpreted in different ways by different programs.
Isn't it 23.97?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like
You've got to be accurate about these things.
It's true, and it can make a big difference when you're doing VFX or that kind of thing, or taking it through several different programs. If it's a long thing, it can totally mess you up. So often I've just shot 25 because you know where you stand with it. But
is anybody else on this call kind of like when you when we start off with our we start off the day and we're really organized and we got our clapperboard and we're like really proud of ourselves and it's got a pretty little name on it, and by the end of the day you're just completely given up on the clapperboard and you're just like trying to get whatever you can. And
happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. I've done so many bits and pieces where the clapperboard just gets like, you see it twice and then you just just do it again, just do it again. Somebody clap at the end.
Yeah.
And that's it. So the poor editor must be really screwed by the end of it.
See, I've done that with my own films. I screw myself over and I have to come round to edit it.
On one of our shoots in the Witch's Mask, for instance, the ones on the moors, we actually lost the clapperboard, and so basically it was clapping every time. We completely lost it. We didn't know where it went. Apparently the Rangers picked it up. They found it in a dustbin somewhere, and they're actually going to charge me £1,000 for actually filming on, basically in Thurn weather, basically, because she's actually supposed to ask permission, but I sort of begged that it was a student film and everything like that, so they just let me off. Luckily.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
I once doubled up on a production. I was in it, but I also was logging the shots and painting models and whatnot. But someone kept a very nice sheet with all the shots and just gave it over to me at the end of the day and said, right, can you just name the files on this? So I had this book ready and waiting to go, and I was logging the shots of the evening because I was staying up there for the week and just working on the film, which seemed to be a fairly smooth way of making sure that all got logged at the end of the day. Handed over, so the editor had a copy, the filmmaker had a copy, and then I knew where stuff was as well, so I could then go, which one do you want, and draw it up for them quite quickly. So
that can be very helpful. That kind of thing.
People can double up often.
If it's there, I'll use it a lot of the time when I'm editing. But often, if it's not there, you can work around it, especially if it's my own projects and I may know the footage a bit better. Then it's not necessarily needed, but it can be handy.
So does anybody actually have any ideas on how to make a day go more smoothly, apart from tell everybody what's going on?
I think it's drugs, isn't it, David? I think it's drugs.
Pretty sure
give it to the director and then go, oh, yeah, that's fine.
Medication, maybe.
Dom, is drugs the answer? What do I get? If I get a prize or anything, is that the answer?
Yes, it is. Well done.
Valium for the directors.
The prize is how to make a cream tea properly. I'll get you an online tutorial.
So let's not get on crimping pasties.
Well, I thought we invented the pasty in Devon, didn't we?
It's controversial.
Fight.
The corner.
I think somebody should make a film about it.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem down here in Cornwall. We have all the films we have down here are just films that make fun of themselves. Really, they don't make anything really that serious. Even Bait, I think, is a little bit of a kind of tongue-in-cheek film in many ways. But no, I think when we so on set, I was always quite generous with food and stuff like that. So we got when I did the beach scene in Choker, we had some trays, trestle tables, and we got a bakery, a French bakery in Newquay, to make a whole load of they're proper like patisserie chefs from Paris, and they made a whole bunch of food, and we needed the Penzance Fire Brigade to put up one of our green screens on Mounts Bay Beach, and so it's quite a lot of work. So we actually got them to do it, and they actually were so pleased with the pastries. They were there for ages, just scoffing and helping us out here and there, and everyone was really happy. And but yeah, we made it a bit of a day. But yeah, I think you've got to be generous. You've got to be polite. And I've always, and that's why I got into filmmaking so late in my life, because I think, Dom, you've heard me talk about this, is that I felt that film sets were quite arrogant, quite cliquey, and I never wanted that. I was always I'm like I am now with you guys. I'm like that on set. I muck around and try and make everybody. I'm probably burning up inside, but I try and make, and I don't, there's times when I lose my temper and, or I get fed up, and it's usually my DOP and me, and we try to kind of, he and I try and kind of keep it just between us two. But generally, yeah, you just try and make everybody, especially when you got I think we had about 30 or 40 extras on the beach, and you have to keep everybody happy and give them your time as well, and go up to them and say, "You okay? And is there anything you need?" and stuff like that, instead of just sort of siloing yourself. And it's you've got to be kind of like a little group. And I think if you go into a set, with the big I am, I'm an amazing filmmaker and all that, and you're kind of like some legend in your own head, then I think you're going to make mistakes. And I think you've just got to have everybody, like I say, you've got to have everybody on board, and that's how I go about it. And just play the idiot like me, and it kind of all works out. It all worked out in the edit anyway. But
like you were saying, like Joker became a very different film in the edit, though, compared to maybe how you initially envisioned it. And you said you cut a lot out and things like that.
I cut loads of it out. We with the first the edit that you see, obviously in the final piece, is the 15th or 16th edit that we had. We went down from 4.5 hours to 4 minutes, so 4.5 hours of footage to 4 minutes of a film. And so Morgan Francis, obviously, who runs Spider Eye, he's a very, very experienced guy, and he was just like, do you need this? Do you need this? And we're talking about frames. He was like, do you need this frame? And I'm like, he said, what's it do? What's it do? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, get rid of it then. You don't know what it does, just get rid of it. And we were just shaving that film down and down and down. And it took age. It wasn't until we had the music, because action sequences are difficult to edit without music. Once we had that, and if you listen to the actual track that we used to edit Joker, it's quite similar to the actual track that it actually ended up being. But once you had the music, you can edit to that. So I don't know if anybody follows me on Facebook. I edited a little film on my Blackmagic Pocket in Morab Gardens in Penzance with my kids, and it was handheld because I've forgotten something from my tripod, bloody idiot. And I was just basically shooting my kids. And so when I actually got that footage and brought it home, I edited to music, and it's much easier to edit to music. Then you can take away that music at the end and then put your own kind of original score on it. But it's just really easy to kind of get that momentum. And that's why Joker, I think, looks tight. It's because we actually edited to music, and then we got the guy to come in and actually put the music, and he could see all these little points that we'd found. And but it's a different film.
The question is, if you'd have shot Joker with the idea that it was going to be 4 minutes and not have 4 hours of footage, how many mistakes and problems would you have actually not had to experience if you'd come to that decision in advance? We are talking about trying to get productions moving and keeping everything nice on set.
I don't know. I think it's a good point, and I think we storyboarded it, and I think you guys have seen. I think Dom, you've seen the storyboard artist that I use, Mark Maron, and we're using him again on another few projects. But the storyboard, no, I think, I think, I think that maybe we'd have concentrated on certain shots a bit more. And if I actually sat, so basically, David, if I sit down now and watch Joker and then go back in time and then had that day again, then you would probably concentrate on certain shots a little bit more and spend and focus the day better.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a creative process, and you have to make something with what you've got, and you can't actually plan to the nth degree exactly what's going to happen. So everybody's just aware that it's all a bit of a crapshoot, and that you try and get as much as you possibly can, and then hopefully something comes together from it.
I think because Joker's not very narrative in the way it's done, because it jumps around quite a lot, so you can get a bit crazy, and you don't have to, you can do anything you want. You could have created, probably 15, 20 different kinds of films out of that footage that we had. But
Look
yeah,
forward
on
to
the
seeing
day,
them.
yeah, I'd love to. So Morgan says about maybe re-editing some of my older films, but I just can't be bothered, and it's just I like to retread ground. But
You just want to go on to the next one.
yeah, just go on to the next one. But no, I think it's I think the process on the day, yeah, it's storyboarding, like you guys were saying earlier on, like, is absolutely key. You need to see that vision on paper. I think some of the other things as well is directors go in there and they have this vision in their head, and they're kind of selfish with the vision because nobody else on that set really understands what that person is thinking. And then the director gets frustrated because their vision is not being, he or she cannot see that vision in front of them. And so, and I think that's another thing as well, where you get frustrated directors because, and they're, it's sort of their own making because they haven't shared that vision through it. So I think earlier on, someone was saying obviously about sharing the storyboard. I shared the storyboards with my actors so they could really understand the flow of that film. And then we spoke about it and we talked about it in great depth. I think, I don't know, maybe at Hollywood level, I don't know what they do then, but certainly at my level, you need people on board with that vision, and
they have to have the vision. You have to tell them, which we were talking about communication earlier on. And if you can share your idea of what it is you're trying to create. I mean, I've directed plays before, and that's how I start. I say, okay, this is the vision, and then hopefully you get everybody on board, agrees with it, and then they're all trying to go for the same thing.
Well, we could just have a general chit chat now. I think we've concluded.
Can we talk about the people we're not to work with in Devon? We can talk all gossip.
Better stop recording this conversation right away. Or blank out the names.
Yeah.
I'm
or
not
like they do
bad mouth anyone.
those live feeds, isn't it? Those live feeds of Big Brother, when all of a sudden the name gets dropped, and you go, "Who's that?"
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Immediately drop them out, and you go, "Who's that about then?"
What's going on there?
Yeah, I was on a shoot recently, actually in December, where I was asked to go. I did my Baltimore house shoot, as is the thing. Apparently, we've all got to do it at some point.
I've never
got there, and it was Dom, you've got to do it. It's a legal requirement for everyone in Devon and Cornwall to have a Baltimore house
film. A few times, but they keep saying no.
Oh, do they? Oh, you're obviously not. You're obviously too low class, man.
Coming.
I was there freezing my nuts off, and it took ages for me to get there. And I just kept getting. They were very polite. They were going, "We'll be with you soon. We'll be with you soon. It's okay. I'm very sorry about this." And in the end, I had stuff to read, but I was thinking, what is the hold up? There was a point where it wasn't my business. There was a point where it started to become my business. I felt like, what is the hold up then? There's this line where I was like, I'm okay. I don't need to know. I don't need to know. I need to know. What is it that's held me up at this point? Because I'm cold. It's really cold. All right, there was tea and facilities so I could keep warm, but it was, hang on, man. I want to know all details.
Yeah, well, at that point, you're like, it's like David was saying, it's about communication. Even if you give them an answer, if you just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then it's like,
they're very polite.
Did they tell you?
No, because I didn't ask, because I was sort of like, well, should I? But it was a small shoot, and I'm going, I know things can happen, and it was really cold, so that doesn't help, because even your fingers stop functioning. Just very simple tasks can become difficult. So I was thinking, well, what is it? I just didn't quite get it, and I was starting to get not wound up. I'd understood that it could take its time, but what is this problem? A point of view that I don't know a lot, but I know enough, I think, to understand certain bits and pieces. And I probably would have gone, oh, all right then, fair enough, that makes sense to me. But yeah, they're all very polite, and I was elsewhere. It wasn't far away, so I was sat in a place that was dry, not warm, but dry. But yeah, I never did find out what the hang-up was.
They have a film festival, by the way, at Baltimore, because I've been to Baltimore because one of my films played there. and so they had a film festival was going to be on this year, but they cancelled it because of this business. So it's an interesting place. It's got lovely, but it's always I think they're trying to raise a lot of money to redo the place. It's a real mess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a massive building site, and to be fair, you look up, because at one point I walked through and you could hear the wind whipping through it, and I looked up at this scaffolding and all this brickwork, and I'm thinking, fuck off, this can't be safe at this point. This can't be fucking safe, and I was kind of glad to get out of it in some ways. Just go.
I think it's all right. I think if you were filming a garden party sort of scene, I couldn't think of any better place. It's got a really lovely garden, but I think I wouldn't shoot inside really, unless you're shooting Tom Hanks's The Money Pit.
What reference the teenagers? Yeah, I think I personally think it's probably being overused in many ways.
I think it's like, but you know what I thought. I think I said it before, it, Dom, a controversial thing down here in Cornwall. There's overused actors. They're always in every single film, and I've always I've only tried to use people that have never really been in films before or some of that. So I always you know there's loads and loads of the same old people over and over and over again. And down here, and there's a few. I won't name names because Dom will beat me out. But yeah, so I try and kind of go, try and find new talent really. And that's where you should. That's another one week you should do, Dom, is where to find talent. How to go about sort of finding fresh faces and
it's a good shout.
Stuff like that. That's a good one.
It's kind of like in Devon, everyone's got to do a Dartmoor film. It's sort of the law.
But yes, that's my next film. I think I'll do after the lockdown. I'll get that one out of the way.
I'm gonna write one straight. I'm gonna do one here, Dom. I'm gonna give you a name. This is straight. I've never thought about a Dartmoor film, Dom. Right? Listen to this. Listen to this. Right?
Okay.
Dartmoor. The film's gonna be called Dartmoor, When the Ponies Turned. Come on. There you go, Dom. You can make it. Just put me a little thing at the end.
Can I be a killer pony?
When the ponies turned.
There you go.
I thought I'd done a Dartmoor film, but you've inspired me to make another one.
Just make another Dartmoor film. I'll be there with you. I'll dress up as a pony to jump.
Which end are you gonna be?
Yeah, I know. Ooh, I know. That's yeah. I've seen that film. I know what happens in that other film you're thinking of. So, but no, yeah, When the Ponies Turned.
Interesting.
So down here in Cornwall, I don't know, they do. I don't know really. It's quite random down here. Not many films are made down here really. It's a filmmaker's paradise because you can film anywhere and no one really gives a crap, and everyone's just happy to turn up, and yeah, it's just, unless you're filming on National Trust land, it's okay.
It's TV land in some ways, isn't it? To a degree, occasionally. It's like Doc Martin and it was Poldark, wasn't it? That's gone now, but yeah, Doc Martin is sort of. It's been sort of where the TV productions have come down a few times. Usually with similar plot lines, it's usually an outsider coming down into the local village or something, isn't it? Or a farm. It's never that varied. Into this, always got this bee in my bonnet. It's like, hang on, we live in urban areas.
Yeah,
some of us.
It's Saving Grace is about a woman that moves down to Cornwall. Ladies in Lavender is about an outsider that just sort of turns up on the beach. What's the one? Blue Juice is about outsiders that come down and on holiday and do loads of drugs, and pretty much any kind of Bait is about outsiders. There's no.
Is it? Okay.
So yeah, Bait's a really good film, by the way. You should watch it. It's really good, and it's a really really good film. It's really growing on me. I hate to admit it, but it's growing on me. Not because my name's in the credits. But it's, I was really pissed off though, because it says thanks to, right? and it's got my name, and then after that it says special thanks to, and I went, and I was like, what a liberty!
Special note: off Orson must be have special thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. Special thanks. For the homies that return.
Extra special thanks.
Can I have voluminously special thanks then, or something?
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I remember like being in the cinema and watching it, going, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I've always wanted the credit sequence where you get like and starring, introducing, and all that stuff. That sort of people quibble over for hours. I've always wanted to just put "but" in front of my name, so we get the sort of and starring, introducing, but.
Yeah, but like
Unfortunately, sorry,
Alex Warren, who turned up.
Yeah. We told him that, but he didn't go.
Yeah, he hung around like an old fart. So
yeah. He hung around like 32mm film. Go away.
But I think to muck around with credits now is really vogue, isn't it? Because I always have after credit sequences with my films. I was doing it, I think, before Marvel did it, Dom. I'd just like to point that out. And
I think so too.
Marvel's lawyers will be on.
Yeah, but it was. But now people muck around with the credits. I don't know if you remember the Naked Gun and those kind of films. They used to have like loads of really. If you looked at the credits, they've got loads of really funny titles and stuff like that. And then like they have like Best Boy and then Bestest Boy and then Even Better Boy and things like that. But it's but yeah, I haven't mucked around with my credits that much. I should, shouldn't I?
Well, whenever I put your name on credits, I'm gonna muck about with it, just see what happens.
This is it. But I've got. Do you keep all? When you finished a project, Dom, do you keep all of the files from like everything you shot?
Generally, yes, unless I want to forget about the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of the time I have still got all the files, I think.
Yeah, I keep all mine just in case. And you got like you've got little outtakes and stuff like that, haven't you, on them that you kind of like, and they're quite maybe one day I can revisit them and go ooh, but yeah, I keep them all.
Just to keep them to look. Some of them, not that I may ever look back over them again. It's just nice to have them. You never know. In like 20 years' time, they could be dug up for some very odd purpose. It's like, look where he started making all these terrible films. There's hope for you if you can make this. Then maybe.
I don't know if did you see my post the other day about I watched Jewel, which is Steven Spielberg's first film.
I saw a post about Seagull. I don't remember one about.
There's a lot of Seagull related.
I remember you posting about it.
It reminded me, I always wanted to buy that one.
Yeah, it's I think it's got there's new releases come out actually. I was trying I spent like 2 weeks trying to get hold of Steven Spielberg's email address so I could email him, ask him to get John Williams to redo the soundtrack for Jewel. And I was just like, and then it sort of dawned on me that I would never find his email address, and then he'd probably tell me to bugger off anyway. But if you watch Jewel again, you'll realize what I'm talking about, that it needs another soundtrack. Like it's got such a crap soundtrack because it's a made-for-TV film.
What year was Jewel? It was like
1970. I think it's 76 or something. I don't know. Because 76 is kind of.
Jaws was their first film they did together, wasn't it?
That was 75, wasn't it? Jaws.
Jaws is later than that. I thought Jaws was 77.
That's Star Wars.
That's Star Wars, yeah.
Star Wars 70. The Jaws is 70. Jaws is maybe 79. Let me have a look. Jewel, I think, was. Jewel was 71. God, it really is early.
Right.
Jaws was 75. Jaws was 75. You're right. Wow. Okay, it's earlier than I thought.
You could try and find John Williams' email and just say, just for my own personal satisfaction, could you compose a score for Jewel, please, Mr. Williams? If you're not too busy at the moment.
The soundtrack that killed him.
Retired anyway. think he only really does Spielberg films now, doesn't he? And Star
He did the
Wars.
last Star Wars and Star Wars, yeah. Well, he hasn't got any more of those to do, has he? So to be fair,
I wouldn't have bothered anyway.
best John Williams soundtrack has got to be Close Encounters. It's such a good film. I still watch action sequences in Close Encounters. Close Encounters is awesome. It's such a great film. Like I think it's from a filmmaker's perspective, I think it's one of in terms of raising tension and it's just such a great. It's just so much there. I love it. I love the beginning of that film. Is so cool with the I don't know what the fighter planes are at the beginning. They don't know. They've just come from nowhere, and they're just like the day that they were left. And Close Encounters.
I've only ever seen it once.
Really?
I know. Don't look at me like that. I'm sorry. But
disappointing.
No, I really should watch it more.
It's a really, really good film, and I definitely think it's one of his best, and I don't think and if E.T. doesn't come close, to be fair. I mean it's but yeah, I don't know, but it's I love Close Encounters from an editing point of view. You'd love it, to watch obviously how it's sequenced. It's really lovely, and but yeah, it's remake that now would cost a fortune, but
it could be coming, or who knows, a remake. It could be everything else is being I saw earlier today they're doing a prequel to Grease. As you do.
Really?
Because that's what the world needs, isn't it?
Yes.
Why?
Exactly. I thought
Is it about the summer they had? Is that it? Is that what it's about?
Yes, literally that.
We don't need to see that.
Obviously you do, because people can come along and
literally like the day before they were on the beach together at the beginning.
That is literally what it's about.
Oh God.
Don't you think it's ironic that she's called Sandy and he met her on a beach?
I wonder.
I love to be honest with you, Grease's beginning of a film. Like when you think about beginnings of films, when he says, "Is this the end?" and he says, "No, it's just the beginning," and it starts. You must admit that is pretty cool, and it's.
I did a school production degree. I'm not proud of it. I was begged to get in it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. But anyway, I mean, and you realise actually how utterly inappropriate that storyline parts of it are for young viewers. Some of it is talking about abortion. It's talking about some of it, and it's handled badly. Actually, it's written very badly as well, I think. And you're actually, this is not family fair. This is really quite horrific sort of life lessons as well. As sort of like, ladies, change everything for the man. Negate your entire personality and go with this bloke. Fuck everything else. And it's like, hang on, this is just wrong. So that's why
Grease is the film that Quadrophenia could have been, to be fair. And if I ever see one like Phil Daniels, I say Grease is the film that Quadrophenia could have been, Phil, to be fair. And but yeah, my daughter, my 11-year-old, watched Grease the other day. She's full of it. Like she's like, "Oh, Daddy, it's the best film ever made, and it's amazing." And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it's got some. They're drinking as well. They're underage drinking as well, aren't they? But in the brusha scene, they're underage drinking and smoking.
I haven't seen it for years. I can't really remember lots of it.
You lucky man.
Well, you think that one's bad? The sequel's even worse.
Oh, I haven't seen the sequel.
Grease 2? What a crock of shit.
Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Ooh.
Catwoman. That's
Have you seen Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface? The dance scene in Scarface when he's dancing with her in the disco. Michelle Pfeiffer's acting is basically this. If you watch that scene, this is how Michelle Pfeiffer dances in Scarface. I'm not joking. It is the best thing ever. It's like this.
Yeah, because Al's really dancing. He's sort of trying to get his really Cuban sort of thing on, and she is really standoffish, isn't she? She's like, "Hang on, no, I'm too," like looking down at him as well. She's got this really, like, it's actually, yeah.
He's doing a kind of like ancient kind of form of grinding, isn't he? he's kind of like doing a full frontal grind, and then she's kind of like this. It's you have to. Scarface is a great film. You have to rewatch that, and just for the Michelle Pfeiffer scene.
I said
But,
they've not long added it to Netflix. Scarface.
Really?
Yeah, well, I think it was like a week or so ago. They've added it to it. It's on the newly added, which is great.
There's also a terrible extra that I noticed in Scarface. I watched this year in the Cuban refugee camp. There's actually an old guy that's got a plank of wood, and he's just basically he's like acting really badly because he's in the background just going like this with a plank of wood, like not hitting anything. So if you watch the refugee, so watch out for Michelle Pfeiffer, and then watch that refugee. It's the bit when they have a riot in the refugee camp. There's a guy with a plank of wood just going like this, and it's really, really funny because once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like the worst extra.
I dare you to put that in as an Easter egg in one of your future films.
Yeah, just like in the background.
Up on
it.
There's one in The Godfather. There's a classic extra in The Godfather. Brando opens the door, and this woman is just been told to walk down this corridor. As he opens the door, she spots him, stops, smiles, and goes backwards into shot and out of shot. And Coppola loved it, and he said, so he kept it in, and he remarked, and I'd never noticed it, and I learned it, and I went back, and there she is. She walked right, clear as day. She just stops, smiles, and backs off. In shot, out of shot, backwards. It's brilliant. It's
wow.
This wonderful moment. She just goes, oh, and then backs off. Yeah, sometimes keeping those things in can be quite colourful anyway, because we all know it's dark, but you might as well just a little bit of colour in amongst the heavy control of something, having a little bit of anarchy, just a smidgen of it, just a little bit of someone who doesn't quite get it, or it's just not quite controllable. It's just can be quite fun.
It would be interesting to know how many directors do spot things like that and just let it go. And I hope people don't notice it, or they deliberately leave it in just as a laugh. And hope that people do go through and spot fun things like that.
My favorite one is in North by Northwest at the end, and a guy's about to shoot the gun in this crowded place at Mount Rushmore. So North by Northwest finishes at Mount Rushmore, and Blake's about to shoot a gun, and the little girl, there's a little girl like an extra, and just puts her fingers in her ears just before that actually happens. So it's kind of like pre-spoiler, and that's actually quite a famous Alfred Hitchcock screw up. You know, this little girl puts a because they've got a gun to go off. But yeah,
it'd be interesting if you noticed that. And just went with that take. Maybe it was the best take. I don't know. Or if
there's another one in Batman, where Jack Nicholson, as he reveals himself as the Joker, stands forward, and there's a bit of makeup on his collar, a bit of white makeup or something, or anyway. And the guy who did the makeup just said, he's like, oh no, don't use that one. And Burton said it was a deliberate choice. He said that's the best delivery of that line, so I'm keeping it. So a really deliberate choice was, even though there was quite clearly a bit of makeup on, like a bit of cake makeup on his collar, which is quite visible. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like blatant. But I hadn't noticed it when I first saw it. But it's like, no, it was a deliberate choice on his part. No, I'm keeping it because that's the best delivery of the line, and I don't care if there is an error in there.
So, wow.
So I'd probably go with that. If it's the best delivery of the line, we were talking about this like a week or so, like which line do you go with? Do you go with the one which is the best performance, or the one with the best camera move? Yeah. But maybe there's in different takes, and so you have to make that decision. And maybe there's a continuity error, which you have to overlook and hope a lot of the audience overlook as well, if you get that best line reading. So yeah, I could probably get that.
I've got no dialogue in my next film, so don't have to worry about that, do I?
Oh, do you have any actors?
Yeah, I'm going to use dancers in my next film.
That was this one you just briefly mentioned.
Yeah, I'm just going to use ballet dancers, and
well,
and
if you need me, I'm I can say.
I just want to meet ballet dancers. I don't know why it's some sort of like macabre thing. But, I have one word of dialogue in my next film. So I realise I'm not very good at writing dialogue, and it always sounds hammy when other people say my dialogue. It sounds brilliant when you're sort of writing it out and you're sitting in a cafe and you think, oh my God, and you're looking around, you're going, oh, I'm gonna order myself another flat white. I'm amazing. And then when people actually say it, you just think, oh no, you just want to like die. And so I'm not going to go. So I'm going to go with just one word, and I think I'll be right with that one word, Dom.
It's not Tenet, is it?
Not Tenet, no.
That's a bit of a curse, isn't it, at the moment?
Oh, Jim, I saw. Oh, no,
yeah.
don't get me started on that fucking bloody release date.
The word indefinitely fills me with dread.
I thought that was going to sweep up at the Oscars, to be fair.
They were on about splitting it, weren't they? At one stage, having different worldwide release dates, I think. So if like countries which are less,
they don't want it in China first, do they, anymore? Because China said it's too long. They're only screening films that are under 2 hours long.
How long?
Did they say too long or too wrong? Difficult to know.
Too long.
Dom, edit judiciously, sir.
Well, this bit's recording, but I feel like it's probably not going to be of much use to anyone who would want to watch this bit of it. To be honest,
this is all the outtakes at the end of the freaking credit stuff. This is
it.
So this outtakes are longer than the other useful chat we had before, or semi-useful chat which may have happened before.
But these are memories, Dom.
These are memories. I'll keep it for our own personal joy.
Yeah.
Send it to you all.
That's the other thing that winds me up now, Dom, is drones. Because now drones are out, right? Everybody's using drones in films just because they, we're talking about the technical stuff earlier on. And because now everybody uses drone footage. Like, it's like they just use it. It's like we're making a film. It's like, oh, I've got a good idea for an aerial shot. And it's like, my DOP is also guilty of this because we're talking about the new film we're making. And he's like, I've got a really good idea for a drone shot. And I'm just like,
but I feel like they're okay used sparingly. It's when you plaster them in, like, if you use it to tell the story creatively, I feel like they're okay. But I would say a lot of people are overusing them.
Yeah,
they're really overused.
Read my synopsis at the end. I've got a drone shot in there with all the infected sort of enclosing on a castle. Which, by the way, we pay Pomeroy.
Cut the drone bit out. I'll send it back to you. No. You don't need that, Paul. No. I hardly use my drone actually. And also as well, it's Chinese, so I'm scared to sort of like sort of get it moving. It's probably spying on me. It's probably
in case it turns on you.
It turns on me, yeah. It's like he's here. This is where he is. But it's it's going to be interesting actually how that all goes, really, isn't it? Because it looks like China's trying to think of some sort of revenge tip against the UK for all of the good we're doing at the moment, and they're probably going to say you can't have any more of our stuff, and it's like
they'll take TikTok away. Fucking hell.
Take TikTok away.
They can keep it.
They can keep it.
There's a couple of Frenzel lights I want of Came TV, for instance. They're LEDs, but they adjustable from tungsten to daylight, and they can actually throw a spotlight. And I was quite interested in getting some of those when I've got some more cash in. So I hope I can still get them.
We might not. Yeah, we might have to just rely on our planet killing, Fresnel stuff. So, and it's I've got my Arri HMI underneath my desk. It's as big as a house. It's massive. This thing it's pretty. I kind of like the old lights. You know what I mean? I kind of like them. They're kind of like something about them, isn't there? And it's built like a tank. I don't understand really why it needs to be built like this. But
I know, Mark.
If you drop it won't break.
I only can find Frenzels which are using tungsten lights, but these are adjustable from daylight to tungsten, or tungsten to daylight. Because they're LED.
Dom, you could do a whole thing on lighting about these LED things and how it makes everything look green.
I don't know enough about lighting. You can leave
good
that
company
one.